hello. Welcome again to CNXT Academy. We are finally at week 5. It's me, your girl, Genevieve. And today we're going to be talking about a very, very interesting topic. A topic a lot of us are curious about. We are their biggest consumer, if so to speak. So we're going to be talking about platforms and their users, right? The platforms, the social media platforms, and how exactly to use them. And before you can understand how to use them, you need to understand the platform itself. You need to know what made that platform tick, who are the people on the platform, why the people on the platform go to that particular platform. I'm going to talk about the first part. The first platform we're going to talk about is TikTok, right? TikTok is a very new platform that just came up, and it has been doing numbers, and all of us are obsessed with it. I am obsessed with TikTok. TikTok is currently my favorite, my favorite platform at the moment. And it is that for a lot of reasons, and which is because the TikTok algorithm is actually mostly tied down to interest, right? TikTok is very fun, it's very cute, it's chaotic, very fast, right? In 5 minutes, you could even watch like 50 TikToks. Truly, you can't watch that much TikTok content in very, very short period of time. And it's very creative, and people who are on this platform are mostly Gen Zs to young millennials, right, who are basically trying to find a way to spend their time. They're looking for trends to chase or connect with, and they're also joining community. TikTok is the only platform that has niche communities that is basically named after itself. We have the book talk, we have the food talk, we have so many talks. Me, I am part of the food talk for sure. So there are so many niche communities in TikTok, and TikTok has been able to leverage on those communities, right? TikTok, algorithm is basically based on interest, right? When you see your For You page, whatever you see on your For You page is based on what you already like. What are the things you already find interesting, the things you already that are aligned with your own personal interest or your career interest, whatever it is that you're interested in at that point in time, right? But you can the best way for you to look at it is in the beginning of this year, of the year till now, that there are a lot of things that you were interested in the beginning of this year that you're no longer interested in anymore. There are things that you didn't even know you'd be interested in, you're going to be interested in the beginning of the year that you're currently interested in right now on TikTok. And that is the beauty of TikTok, right? TikTok is very interest driven. So, and the content basically picks very quickly, right? A lot of time when you can post content, you might not even know that the content you're posting, it's gonna go viral. It might just go viral, or sometimes it can even come back later. There are a lot of times where we even post content and then forget about the content, and 3 weeks later it's like getting a lot of traction, views and likes and saves and all of that. And that's because of the fact that it's interest based, right? And because a lot of us, we're human beings, and our interests always continuously change. Like what we were interested in before, we would kind of like, well, I don't want to say we'll evolve, but we'll kind of now encourage or be more open to newer interests, right? Now, I wrote here that on TikTok, it's not about being perfect, it's about being relatable, creative, and consistent, right? TikTok loves consistency, TikTok loves creativity, TikTok loves relatability, but you have to do all of them. You have to do them right, so you need to find the balance between them. Moving on, TikTok rewards creativity, consistency, and adaptability, not your follower count. Unlike other platforms, TikTok care about how creative is your content, how adaptable is that content to the current trend that's going on, and that is how TikTok will reward you. You don't care whether you have 1 million followers, 3 million followers, it doesn't even matter, right? You can have 1 million followers, and if you're not creating content that are creative, you're not creating content that are based on the trend or even aligns to the trend of the niche you're even creating it for, the industry you're creating, or the entirety of TikTok at the moment, your content is going to go back, right? So it's not your follower that even matter. You even realize that because when you see for yourself that when you follow certain people, certain people, you kind of like see less of the content when you start seeing that most of the majority of the content, does not necessarily align with the reason why you follow them in the first place. Which is what happens to a lot of creators, right? A lot of creators will be increasing, getting a lot of followers, but when it comes to people actually watching the video, it's very, very low. You see a creator that has maybe 200,000 followers and still getting like 30 likes, 200 likes, 1,000 likes. That's because the creator is not actually creating for that particular niche, like what's is trending at that point and at that time. So, which is what is affecting the engagement, right? Because TikTok actually rewards that. Now, how do you use TikTok as a creator? What is the best ways to use TikTok as a creator? Because the reason why we're talking about this is because there's a right way of doing it and there's a wrong way of doing it. But you can do it rightly and you can also do it wrongly for sure. So what is the best way to do it? The first one is to start with a very, very strong hook, right? The first 3 seconds of your TikTok decide everything. So when you start with a very strong hook that grabs the attention instantly of people, whether it's a bold statement, a surprising visual, or a question that sparks curiosity, people will sit and watch, right? TikTok, like I said, it's very fast, it's very fast paced and all of that. But then again, like I said in my previous classes, that it's not all about grabbing that first attention, right? Grab the first attention, but make sure you retain the attention because it will reward you. It already will reward you for that. Now, and another one is that the platform thrives on sound, right? The platform thrives on sound so much that they have introduced a pin in the background feature. They have introduced, background sound feature, right? Where now let me explain it to them. The pin in the background feature is where you can pin maybe you're watching TikTok and then you remove it and put it in a very, very small. It's gonna be a very small screen showing at the side of your phone where you're doing other activities. I should tell you that they don't really care. Like TikTok knows that don't people who watch TikToks while doing other things. I watch TikToks while doing other things, right? I literally put my TikToks on auto scroll and then I watch other things. I do other things. So TikTok knows that that's what people do. And so for you to be able to attract people to their particular content, make them to stay or watch or engage whatever, your sound has to be matching. The sound is very, very important. Sound is so important when it comes to TikTok. And it's also important that when you take a picture on TikTok, but when you take a picture on TikTok, it can even generate a sound for you. And if you really pay attention to the kind of sound that it's actually generating for you, you realize that it's giving a vibe. It's unintentional, not even unintentional, very intentionally detecting the vibe of that particular picture that you have taken. Right? You said suggest a sound that really match the vibe or kind of explain or give a certain vibe of that particular picture or photo that has been taken. In other words, I'm already saying it's a trend that has been going around. That's because it thrives on sounds, right? Sounds and trends, and it leans. So when you are creating your content, you have to lean more into the sounds, into the trend, lean more into it. But then don't just, when I say lean more, I don't mean copy and paste. Like, no, I mean lean more into it. Just pay attention to it and try to align your content to that, but make sure that it still remains your style so that you can stand out, because there's a lot of people that are doing the same thing, but if your own looks so similar to every other person, or they're going to be like, oh, I've seen this video before, so you just scroll, right? So you have to make sure it becomes your style. Another thing is consistency. Consistency is key for growth on TikTok, right? You can when you're posting on TikTok, you need to know that you have to be posting a lot of times. You're posting on Instagram, you can post 1, 2, 3 times, 4 times in a day, in a week. That's fine. But when it comes on TikTok, it's a completely different ball game because it's very fast move. Like I said before, it is fast. Things move very fast. Trend moves very fast. Trend ends and starts very, very fast on TikTok. And so you need to be posting a lot of that. So now, because of the fast pace of TikTok, you don't necessarily have to always have polished, clean cut, well-made content. And I know that people would think that Yes, because you want to get a lot of followers, you have to create very, very, very amazing content. Of course, very, very, very true. Create amazing content. Remember when I talked about anchor format, I talked about, visual formats, all of this is very important, true and great. But when it comes to TikTok, you cannot do over polished format when it comes to TikTok, right? It has to be clean, it has to be nice, but it doesn't have to be over polished. And then you would say, oh, but people are doing over polished content. Does it mean that TikTok is just somehow favoring them? No, it doesn't mean so. But if you look at a particular niche, if you look at the niche they are in, because if you look at the kind of creator that are trying to be, them creating that kind of polished content is for a reason. Maybe their visuals will look so good, but the audio that you're hearing is a different thing altogether. Their format of editing is going to be much more TikTok focused, and that's the important thing you have to pay to, right? So again, if you're still still unsure on the polished and not polishedness, you can look at the same thing. The creator that you think are creating polished content, check all their platform, on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Check all their platforms, see how they are posting, and you'll be able to tell the clear difference from how they post on TikTok, how they create for TikTok. You'll be able to tell, right? But as a certain creator, as a creator that just starting your journey, TikTok is the perfect place for you to actually start trying new things. And like I said, you don't need to actually make it so overproduced. Doesn't also mean that it has to be bad looking. Please don't don't misquote me. They don't have to be bad, they still need to be great. So we have the next one, which is storytelling on TikTok. TikTok really, 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 really tries for storytelling, right? It's the only platform that you can listen to multiple parts of gist, right? We sit and we sit for gist. From the beginning of this class, I've made it clear to you that I love gist. I love a good story. I love a good gist, right? Maybe because of my life is kind of a little bit, boring and flat and just like one paced, right? So I'd like to hear other people who are experiencing drama. And the best place to put your drama is TikTok. It's the best place to put your drama. And as a creator, you don't have to, all your drama doesn't have to be true. But you can learn your storytelling on TikTok, and storytelling definitely thrives on TikTok. Now, the success on TikTok is speed, creativity, and consistency. You have to be creating content fast that's based on, the trend that's going on at the moment. Create it and tweak it to your own style, and then also be creative as you're creating those content, and then be consistent. Make sure you are always hopping on all of this, and you're also posting continuously every single day, right? You have to be showing up daily, you have to ride trends, but you also have to add your own twist. Moving on, the TikTok culture is what makes it powerful, right? The TikTok culture is so strong, and it's so it stands out. But then a lot of us don't really recognize that what is the underlying difference between TikTok culture and Instagram culture, right? But let me try to kind of break it down to you. The TikTok visibility is driven by trendy sounds, challenges, memes, and creators who jump on them, right? And any creator that jump on any trending sound, any trending challenge, any trending meme, you will definitely get a lot of reach. You will definitely get a lot of people see your content. You're gonna get visibility from that, right? So success does not come from copying other people, right? Now, don't get me wrong. If you copy some of these contents back to back, like for what Baba said, yes, it's gonna go viral, especially viral content. It's gonna go viral, and it's not gonna go viral in the way that you want it to go viral. It's gonna go viral in a bad way. But so it doesn't come that way. You have to be creative if you want to really create a brand that actually stands the test of time, a brand that you can revolve and evolve with. Because we have talked about it a lot of time that it's not even about just getting that content out there. It's about getting the kind of content that you yourself will be proud of that content. You'll be happy that you actually put on that kind of content. It shows your creativity. It shakes you up. It makes you proud of yourself, right? And that's the point. That's the point of creating content. That's the whole point of being a creator altogether, right? right? Where to create something that will actually be meaningful to you and to the general public, right? So, and TikTok rewards it, right? TikTok will reward your authenticity because you have to be authentic. Where you can't come and not be, very very posh or whatever. No, you have to be authentic. You have to be clean. You have to be original. I remember I said being authentic doesn't mean that you are raw, you are vulgar. No, being authentic can mean that you're true to yourself. Like are you've identified what your creativity is, and you are going in headstrong with that creativity. That is what authenticity actually means here, right? The platform also runs on their own inside jokes and language. A lot of us know TikTok languages, right? We know the languages. For now, my brain is kind of off for this, but TikTok has its own language. TikTok has its own jokes, right? So they TikTok, like, you hear things like book talk, you hear things like food talk, you hear things like anime talk, right? It's only on TikTok you see that, right? So TikTok has its own language, right? Right? It has its own like they generate random filter sound and format for you. Right? So the whole entire thing about TikTok is, it has this community feel, right? Because it's and the community feel is based on your interest, based on the things that you already are interested in, and then they just kind of lead you into a particular community. A lot of us think that we are part of the, so me, I believe I'm part of the Amambo talk. Me, I am the general manager of that association. That is for sure, right? And that is basically how TikTok actually is. That is the culture of TikTok. That's the way of life of TikTok, because culture is the way of life of certain people, right? That's the way of life of TikTok. And if you want to succeed and you want to try in TikTok, you need to participate in this culture. You need to do the things that TikTok do. You need to be a TikToker. You need to be a TikToker, basically, right? You need to do what participate in their culture. Moving on to the biggest mistake. Sorry, apologies. Moving on to the biggest mistake creators make on TikTok is over editing their videos. A lot of us, what I've come to realize is that a lot of us do not yet quite understand how to create the balance between creating for TikTok and creating for Instagram. So when what happens when I say a lot of what happens is that we create what we're creating gives TikTok vibe, but Instagram level. It's like a mix of two, and that is why it will not work. That is why it will not succeed the way you want it to succeed. That is why it's not going to be the way you want it to be. Because you can't come to of course it's gonna look very TikTok-y on Instagram, and it's gonna look also very Instagram-y on TikTok. So you need to understand that you need to make sure that, especially your editing is very, very simplified. In fact, it's almost like as if you just on your camera and start talking. Like, that's what happens, right? That's how you want your TikToks to be. Now, if you see the format that I use for my videos, right? I try to have like a TikTok-y, Instagram-y balance, right? So there's not like a proper studio lighting that is happening in my videos. It's just very, very, you can tell that I have like a few lights, but like not like the professional lights. You can also tell that I'm shooting on my phone, right? You can tell there's a lot of things like that's what a lot of us are doing, right? But now I'm putting it on YouTube. Now, the whole point of this class was not to blow on YouTube, okay? Let us know that. But this is not a YouTube content. This is not for YouTube, but this is kind of what I'm trying to explain to you, right? What we try to do is like we try to create. We're like, okay, I want to be like the tush TikTok, but like also good enough for Instagram. Because to be very honest, one of the reasons why that happens is because we are lazy, and that is like I will tell you is the truth. And I will tell you because me too. I really never really worked on my TikTok or my Instagram personally, mostly because I'm not ready for it. I'm not ready for it. Again, if you're doing this journey, you need to know that you have to be ready for it. You have to be ready for every single step. And I am not ready for it. I have so many commitments in my life at the moment, and I need to start taking them one by one. And yeah, this is my major commitment at the moment, right? So But if you do look at my TikTok at the moment, right, it's not the same as my Instagram. Right, on my TikTok, I am more TikToky, right? I do all the things that people do on TikTok. I try to be scrappy. I basically on my camera and post. I don't even over edit. I don't do anything, right? Because that's what TikTok is for. TikTok is just for feels good vibes, right? But what we do as creators, a lot of creators do, and when we get it wrong, is that we go in and over edit our content. We want to put the sound in there, want to put this, want to put that. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that. You don't need to do that, right? Right. For TikTok, clean visuals are very great, but authenticity is very important. If your content feels over polished or staged, it will come across as very fake, loose, and it will lose its connection with the viewers automatically. And that's the truth. That's the truth. And again, this is very much dependent on your niche, very dependent on a lot of things. There's a lot of things that depends on it. But overall, and why now, sir, this is basically how TikTok runs, right? Now let's move on to the next one, Instagram. Because I didn't want to go so in depth on TikTok, because TikTok it's quite it's not quite simple, but I'm trying to find a word. It's not simple, but then again, it's a little bit of it's a little bit complicated, because I just TikTok just basically started this whole culture of everybody being a creator, and then when the whole point of, oh, you can also be a creator too, comes to your hand, you're like, okay, since you grew up with Instagram, creating, seeing beautiful content, and you're not seeing the ability to create those content, and that way you kind of don't understand how to properly balance what TikTok is doing, what TikTok wants, and what TikTok's concern, what it really wants, compared to what Instagram wants and what Instagram desires. So let's look at what Instagram is, so we can now start looking at picking apart the key differences between them. So when I started Instagram, right, Instagram vibe is very polished, very aesthetic, and very aspirational. Right? When people go to this is where people go and showcase, they showcase, they highlight, they curate their lifestyle. Basically, Instagram it's a created social media platform. Right? Everything there is created. Everything on Instagram is created. Now, let's talk first. Not look at people that do not have created pages and are doing well on Instagram, right? There's a complete different reason why that is so, right? Let's not try to someone that's not, don't think about it like that. Don't think about it like that. Focus on the point I'm trying to give you, right? Which is, if you want to grow as an Instagram, as a creator, if you want to grow as a creator, as an influencer, and grow your followers on Instagram, you need to focus on creating your lifestyle, creating a lifestyle on Instagram. Let's see your Instagram be like your visual brand identity. Let's just be that when somebody comes to your Instagram, they see it's like your Pinterest mood board in a way. In a way, right? But let's not add more platforms. Let's not confuse you. So yeah, but Instagram, why is this so? Because Instagram is very much engagement based, right? The algorithm is based on engagement. Instagram will favor you if you are continuously getting a lot of engagement. If an engagement on Instagram is very, very specific, which is mostly saves and shares, and then how long people stay on your content, right? Especially if people can stay on your carousels, pictures, stay on them even longer. That makes your content get much more viral on Instagram, right? Now, next we're going to talk more about metrics, what metrics are, how to understand metrics, all of that, and what they mean for different platforms, right? But Instagram is very, very engagement based, engagement driven, right? Unlike TikTok, that is very, very interest driven, right? TikTok, you see more content that looks like what you like or looks like what you're interested in. On Instagram, it's more about things that you will love to see. It just feels nice to see. It's curated, it's just cute, it's very nice to look at, it's very nice to, just look at it. It's just nice to see. That is what it is. Period. that people want to save and referencing for tomorrow. They want to share to somebody because they want the person to just like see and like understand. That's what Instagram is for, right? That's what they do. That's what exactly when I say when you said something is engagement based, it's something that is very, very, very highly shareable. That's what works well on Instagram, right? Unlike TikTok, it's more about people just being engaged in that particular content at the moment. That's content at the moment, that specific one. And that content has to be very much in line with, the trends, the moments, and the current interest of people. Like, it cannot be something that people are not even interested in at all. It has to be something that people are already interested in. And then, that's how it goes. That's why when you see a lot of TikTok content that actually go viral, they're always people are always answering, have you ever? And do you know? Like, it's always a question. It's always an open-end question, so that wider people can actually be able to connect to it. It's not really like a specific people, which is what happens in Instagram. Very, very specific people can try very well on Instagram, right? Now, Instagram rewards consistency, right? Of course, all platforms rewards consistency because they want you to be on that platform. They want you to spend time on that platform. They want you to make sure that other people are spending time on that platform. That is what they want, right? And so they will reward you for that. They will continuously reward you for that. And apart from rewarding your consistency, they also reward quality visual, right? They reward clean cut visuals. The visuals has to be nice, they have to look good, they have to be very, very, very high quality, right? They have to be very catchy. Everything has to be right. No mistake, no place for I don't know. No. Instagram does not like that, right? It has to be very, very, very high quality, right? And the content, and there must be content that people want to save and they want to share. Very importantly, they must want to save it and they must want to share it, right? When a few years ago, before Instagram brought in their save button, right? A lot of people were screenshotting Instagram stuff, right? You see a fine girl or a fine model, and you're like, oh, you got the screenshot it, you screenshot it, right? Because it looks good, right? Then Instagram realize that, you know what? Why didn't they just save it? Now, when they are saying that you have saved it so many times, they will use it to create your explore page, right? They use it to create it. That's why you see your explore is very, very created based on what you're already interested in, what you're already engaged with. Right? It's not even what you're interested in. Let me paraphrase that. Right? A lot of times your Instagram for explore page is not what you are interested in, it's mostly what you have engaged in. What you're interested in, you see it mostly on your sponsored posts. And that's what happens on Instagram. That's how it works on Instagram. But you see, TikTok is quite different. On TikTok, you're going to see most of the things that you actually are interested in. You see lots and lots of things that you are interested in, things that you have engaged with. You see, it's going to be like every video is going to be like another angle of what you already like. If you probably start liking a lot of all these movies or all these short movies they used to do, you start liking a lot of them, like you only like any video that is the movie videos. For the next 2-4 hours, all the videos you're going to be seeing after that are going to majorly be the movie videos. We didn't also show you other options. Yeah, they will show you other options. But when they see you're not engaging in those ones, they will start increasing how much more you see that. Unlike Instagram is not the same. Instagram is not the same. Instagram basically will only show you what you're already engaging in. So for example, if you save a content, right? I'll save another content that looks like that content, save another content, like 3 or 4 of that content. You swipe to your explore page, you see more of that content that you've saved, right? If you like the content on Instagram, you like other content, like more content like that content, you are not gonna see it on your For You page. It's not your explore. It's really not gonna be like that, right? So if you can go on the explore and start probably particularly liking those content on that explore page, that's the only time that your explore page will kind of like configure to that, right? But that does not work on TikTok. On TikTok, your algorithm is basically, they're created from what you already like, what they're already seen and you are interested in, right? And yes, you can say yes, 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 yes. It's basically the same thing with Instagram, but it's not. Because if you're really, truly, 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 truly like a content, you will not just like it, you will not just like the post, you will save it and you will share it. That's what makes them know that, oh, this content is content that you are interested in, this is content that you would love to engage with. And they want you to keep engaging on those content because they want people to keep creating more content like that, and so on and so forth. So those are the differences between Instagram and TikTok, right? So, like I said, we're gonna be having more of the looking at the differences as we go, because I didn't want to bring this into Instagram when in the beginning, since we are still looking at TikTok. Now, the Instagram culture is very visual first, right? Unlike TikTok, that doesn't really care about you having a clean place, like clean cut everything. No, 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 no. Instagram is very visual first. Instagram is about you looking good, clean, intentional, right? You cannot even all the way to your cover picture of your reels. It has to be clean, it has to be intentional. They even make sure that they even added a feature where maybe you can't find a good cover photo from your video or your reels. You can actually import from your camera roll so that you can have a clean feed, because it's about that grid. It's about the grid, the time frame, the timeline is very important on Instagram. The grid definitely works, right? That's what increases your chances for your content to reach the explore page, because everybody wants a content to be on the explore page, because that's where your content are going to be suggested to other people, and people can see it. It's going to be out there in the open, right? That's the whole point, right? That's what we want. Same with TikTok, where we all want our content to be on For You pages. Now, on TikTok, it's easier for your content to be on For You pages, but if people do not actually like your content, or you don't watch the end of that content, like there are multiple metrics to see. Again, we'll talk about metrics next week, but there are multiple metrics to see what's gonna happen or what the tendency of your content going well, doing well. Right? There are multiple metrics to see there, especially on these two platforms. But the way they measure it is quite different. Right? It's quite different. Right? Then the next one is personal branding matters. Yes. Your feed is equal to your portfolio. Consistency in colors, in tone, in style makes you memorable. Brands, clients, and followers, they all judge your grid. They judge it. They will judge it. You say, oh, no, it's not about that. It's about posting every content one by one. No, that is on TikTok. That's on TikTok. We don't care about whether it is aesthetic or not. But that doesn't mean that it should be rough and dirty, especially if your niche is kind of like a very, very specific type of niche, right? You can't now do that. But apart from that, you have to be very, very clean. It has to be very, very memorable. It has to be very, very much consistent all through. Another one is actually very, very more relationship based, right? Unlike TikTok, that is very broadcast style vibe. Instagram thrives on community and interactions. Strong creators treat their audiences like a circle of friends, not viewers. Yes, in TikTok, it's very easy for you to go viral. It's very easy for people to find your platform. It is, but it is hard for people to get connected to you from TikTok. True, very, very true. Because the reason why I say that is because especially if you have not aligned what you want to say or how you want to say what you want to say on TikTok, and you just focus more on what is trending and what is hot, and you keep doing what is hot, people will not really know or have any idea of who you are. But you see, Instagram is quite easier for you to do that, because like I said, on TikTok, if you follow a particular creator, right, you are more likely to see the creatives or the video or the content of that creator that already aligns with that video that made you follow them. That's what's going to happen. So you are going to see more of that kind of content, right, from that creator, right? All the other content now, they will never show you. They might show you once in a while, and then if they see you don't actually like that content, they will start showing you that content, continue showing the one that they already feel like you're already interested in, right? Or like Instagram, where you cannot break down, maybe you have a concept or you have an idea, in fact, you are in a shoot, but it was the BTS, right? You have it on your story, you put it on your story. right? And then even after your story has expired, after that one day, does it now have a curated highlight, right? See how community apology, see how community building are done, right? You can still connect with your followers, your the people that follow your community, even afterward. Unlike TikTok is not the same. TikTok is more of more content out, volume. But Instagram is curated. It's curated for everybody, for the people to get to know you, get to connect with you, all of that good stuff. That's why Instagram has the longer captions where you can talk and write as your whole word, right? Everything you have in your mind, you can write it. You can post as multiple story as you like, even though that's still available on TikTok. But people actually engage with stories. I live on my stories. I don't even live on my feed, on my explore. I stay on my stories. I just go to everybody's story one by one and watch people's story. That's kind of like how I like to do it, because I feel like that way I get connected to people even more. I get to like really see what really happens in their day to day. It's also a very nice created, it's a very nice beautiful picture on that page or that came on my timeline. But on the story, they're gonna tell us how probably when their hand was, over over the other leg, it was them like slowly kind of covering, a patch or maybe a stain or something, right? So that's very much more intentional, more relationship based. That's what happens on Instagram. Another nuances to also note is that Instagram is very aspirational but relatable, has a very aspirational relatable balance, right? um More on TikTok is more about more about relatability. We're gonna be talking more about your story. That's why we have storytelling. That's why we have not so well polished visuals. No, but on Instagram it's aspirational. People love lifestyle content that feel both attainable and inspiring, right? The content should be attainable and inspiring, which is why a lot of creators, when they have created a content that looks so amazing, that is almost like it's so crazy, like it's very aspirational, they'll kind of make it now more relatable by putting in a very long relatable caption on it, or sometimes even go as far as breaking it down even further on their story. But unlike when it comes to TikTok, you really cannot do all of that. What you can even not try to do is now make multiple parts of that particular thing into individual video that already connect to a particular interest, which is not the same as what happens on Instagram at all, right? So I hope that is kind of clear. I don't really want to go into it too much so that I do not kind of like confuse you any further. Another nuances to note is trust matters, right? The audience expects authenticity but in a polished wrapper, right? So when I say that your content has to be very much aspirational, it has to be very much visual and polished, all of that, doesn't mean that you now start faking everything. Doesn't mean that you fake every single thing. No, it still has to look good, and also, like I said, very attainable, and covered in a nice wrapper. Like you are still a very good example of this. This is Nancy Sime. I would I refer you to our Instagram page. Like our Instagram page is one of those pages that is so aspirational yet reliable and relatable. I cannot relate to it. Like, I mean, to be honest, when you read through the captions, you're like, oh my god, yeah, I can relate to this. But truly and truly, if you really think about it, you can't. You really can't know what it feels like to actually own your own studio, actually put all this things together. You really can't. Like, you can't. I'm sorry, but like, I can't begin to understand it. Like, I can't. But I would love to. I would love to, and I think I see an aspect of myself in that, and that's exactly what you want, right, to achieve on Instagram. And that's what happens on Instagram. Right, so a very good example of this Instagram culture, the character I feel that is doing it the best, from what I've seen so far, is Nancy Sime. You guys should check her out. Go check her out. Check out on Instagram. It is so amazing. Another person that does the TikTok culture very well is her name has left me. I will try to remember her name. come to our come to our live session, and then we'll talk about that one. But for now, the Instagram culture is nothing similar. As I was speaking, to talk about the TikTok culture creator. Now on Instagram, you're not just creating content; you are creating an identity. Um, Very easy. Instagram is all about creating, right? You create everything, right? If you want to look like like I said, that Stima is already a made actor. Like she's she's wealthy, she's wealthy, she's successful, she has a successful career, you know, as a on air personality. She has an amazing career she's not even basically, she is a celebrity. That's what she is, right? And she has created that identity. We have seen her journey as a celebrity. She's maintaining that idea of her while still kind of like saying, okay, I'm a celebrity, but I'm not out of touch, right? Right? The other and then you see other influencers that are basically creating an idea that, oh, I am a very, like, I'm a baddie. We are the baddie. We all know the baddie influencers. I'm not going to call names, right? They are creating a whole, and okay, a good example would be Diana. Diana Energy, right? She's giving a different vibe. Like, she is on Instagram. You will not know that this girl is also a model. I mean, you know she's a model, but like, you won't know how many companies that she has actually worked with, or you really can't go and count it from her Instagram, right? Quick Step, Francis, and all of them, you can't count it. You can't know from their Instagram, like, because they are creating an identity. They want you to, when you go to Instagram, they want you to see that they are that badges, like they are, it girls. That's what they want, and that's the way you're gonna get when you go to that page, right? So when you decide what you want your Instagram to be, you then create that identity, but don't create in a way that it feels out of touch, right? And if you're out of touch, not even to people, also to yourself. Very important. That's why we started this whole course by understanding who we are as a creator before we move into all of this, right? Everything that was done so far is very, very intentional to make sure that when you get to this point, you are not confused of who you want to be. You're more or less aligned and informed correctly. Now, how do you use Instagram as a creator? To use Instagram effectively as a creator, you need to balance your feed and story, right? Stories are very important in Instagram, and a lot of creators do not actually know this. Like, a lot of creators do not actually know how to utilize their stories at all. My stories is like the most active Instagram thing I do on my page. Like, I can post maybe once, twice, or 3 times in a year. Honestly, that's how bad it is. But my story will definitely see something every single week or every single month. Like, at least you will see something happening on my story. So that I'm posting something, posting something, it's gonna be there. But when you come to my Instagram page, right, you might be not understanding what's going on my feed. But the moment you open my highlights, you're like, oh, I see what's going on here. It's intentional. Like, it's intentional. It's not really for you. It's for me, right? But it's intentionally placed there for myself, and also to, like, any other person that goes there to go and look at it. I'm like, okay, I did post those things. Some of them are embarrassing stuff. I will not lie to you, but it's intentionally there. Like, I'm like, it's fine. Like, yes, at one point in my time, I thought that I had there. I thought I did this right, but apparently not. I didn't. So it's there and it's great, right? So you need to find a way to balance your stories and your feed. You need to find a way to balance it, and that is how you can effectively use Instagram. Your feed is where your growth happens. That's where you grow through your reels and your carousels, right? You attract new followers through there. While your stories is where you connect with your followers, right? You connect your followers, right? You can connect your followers on Instagram. You can't connect your followers on TikTok. It is not. You can't. You can't. Now you can say, oh yeah, you can't. People can't. People do. All of that good stuff. Yes. No. Why can't you connect with your followers? Because when somebody follows you, the moment they have followed you, they are screwed up. Right? and then see somebody completely different, and they will keep seeing other people. They're gonna see like another 15 new creators doing almost something similar to you before they will see you again. So the connection is now more on how many times do they see you, and that's also reflective of how many times you post. And then how many times you post things that is based on that issue. Do you see how you really cannot connect with your audiences on TikTok? Do you see how that's not possible? Right? Exactly. So it's gonna be harder for you to do that. But when it comes to Instagram, you can. You can. Now, um, I'll give a very good example. I love Mavella. Like I really, when I started watching her content, I really, really liked her content. Like that was when I was thinking I wanted to be a wig influencer, right? One of the reasons why I didn't actually chase that career was because I thought to myself like, okay, I want to be a wig influencer. But all the wig influencers I've seen and I've known, they've literally lost their front hair. Like the entirety of their front hair is like gone. And if you're not aware of it till now, doesn't mean because you're very kind. I have a very, very big forehead. Like I have the typical 5 finger forehead. Like that, there's a lot of forehead there. So and God being so gracious to me, He gave me extra hair by the turn of my head. Now imagine if I lose the entirety of my hair in the front, that is kind of like making the forehead not look so enormous because I'm big influencing. And yes, that was how I did not become a big influencer. Now the next thing was to become a makeup influencer or start doing makeup tutorials. But then I just realized that I really like the way I do my makeup, and I really don't cannot explain to you how exactly I do it because it's my face and it's different. So, the other thing is that I did not really have interest in that altogether. But I really did enjoy her content. But she really inspired me to want to even try that. And I continued watching her content and I really, really enjoyed it. And and that is great and that is good. So moving on, right? So you use your reels, and carousel to attract new followers, you use your stories to create that connection by showing them behind the scenes, because that's basically what you can do in your real stories. You can show them more about the behind the scenes, the story around those well created videos, all of that. Um, and also remember that your reels are basically your strongest tool when it comes to Instagram, because the algorithm will keep pushing your video content. Um, if it is very trending, if it's very engaging, and it's also very short. They will keep pushing your content to people, to help you reach new people, because the platform wants to help you. Really, they're not really against you. They're for you. But not all the time. Especially if you do not create content for that platform. Like now you know what Instagram is looking at for. If you're not creating well created video, your identity is not well created, right? Your page is not created, they're not going to push your content. It's as simple as that. All right. And your carousel, on the other hand, lets you go deeper with your audiences by teaching, storytelling, inspiring them, all of those good stuff. Now, carousel, when I take the carousel can teach people, it's just really showing them more and more of what it is. So that's why people post like pictures and they post in their carousels, right? Just find you're posting your picture, just to see more and more of how beautiful you are. That's basically what it is, right? And so on and so forth. Because that's what's going to make people to stay longer and engage longer, because Instagram wants people to stay on your, like, the more you can stay on a particular person's page, the longer you can stay on that particular page means that that content is good, and Instagram will continue to send that content to other people. That's why people have very, very, very long captions. Sometimes it's not even, my caption is not even necessarily supposed to be long, and they will like put like that's just to make sure that they can, when you scroll like 2 times before you now get to the point where they now have the hashtag and you cannot go, right? It's intentional, it's very, very intentional, but they want you to like basically stay on that content a little bit longer. Also, people can have like a very, very long carousel, like they have like 20 pictures carousel, and they tell you the last picture was the caption, right? You want to go to the last picture, and that is basically what TikTok wants you to do. Like the longer you can send the particular content, the better for it, right? So that's what Instagram wants you to do. My bad. Now, Instagram mistakes to avoid. The first thing is that people keep treating Instagram like TikTok. I'm not gonna lie, I cannot overemphasize this thing. Instagram is not TikTok. And people always like, you don't know if you're gonna go viral. You might go viral on Instagram, you go viral. No, no. Please, 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 please do not treat Instagram like TikTok. Yes, 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 it might go viral. But let me tell you, Instagram is using you more than you're using Instagram that way. Right? If your content is not curated, it's not clean cut, whatever, it's not the way Instagram wants it to go to be, and it went viral, my love, Instagram is using you. You're not using Instagram. And trust me, you use that idea that that video went viral to see doing putting that content on your page and you wreck your whole entire feed, and then Instagram will never ever recommend your content again. So why take the risks? Why take the risks? So Instagram is used for random chaotic. It's not built. Sorry, Instagram is not built for random chaotic posting. TikTok tries on it. TikTok tries on spontaneity and spontaneous. Spontaneous. But TikTok is very very spontaneous, right? Things that happen fast and in the moment. TikTok, that's for TikTok. Instagram values intentionality, where it has to be intentional. We have to be intentional. And a feed full of mismatched trends or random videos will confuse your audience. It will. Right? It will. My dear, it will. It will. That is why Instagram TikTok has, multiple features. You see features like, where you can put your videos that look alike into a playlist. You can have multiple playlists, and those are just for you to have like a curation, because they're not expecting your entire page to be curated. So they're like, okay, if you have a particular idea, you can actually curate that idea into like a whole system and a whole flow. That's the whole point of that playlist. So you cannot do the same thing on Instagram, because Instagram don't have that. Instagram does not even want you to have a curated playlist. Why? Your entire page is a curated playlist. That's what it is. Right? So stop treating it like that. Do not do this. Please, please. Another one is a lot of people just ignore their stories. What we post on our stories will not be maybe random days, we'll just post these randomly, or we'll just repost our content and then post new reel and cover it and say, you don't even know. Let me even tell you something. Let me tell you something. It's even better people watch your videos from your stories. Let me just say, let me just put it out there. Let me put it out there now so you guys can know. It's better people can watch the entirety of your video from your stories. So do with that what you want. Another thing is let me take to actually sorry, sorry, excuse me. Another mistake to actually avoid is inconsistent branding. A messy feed with clashing colors, no clear theme, or scattered messages will make you forgettable. So you have to remember that your Instagram feed is your digital portfolio. So a cohesive visual, consistent tone, and a clear message will help you stand out and attract the right audience. Right. Another is posting without engagement. Right. Instagram is not a post and disappear platform. Right. If you just drop your content and never engage, your growth will stall. You have to keep replying to comments. You have to respond to your DMs. You have to engage with your followers' posts. You have to signal to the algorithm and your audience that you're part of the community and not just a broadcaster. That is the truth of the matter. That is why a lot of businesses they grow and then you see them start gaining like 30K followers faster than this thing. Yes, they have money to really run, sponsor and all that good stuff. Yes. But because of their actually and the DMs all the time, like if they do well, they get a lot of DMs. That kind of like changes the algorithm to their favor. Again, a lot of businesses do not actually set their account as business account, which is why sometimes that is I don't know sometimes that's actually a good thing, right? They set it as a creator account, and because it's a creator account, and they're saying that you are actually attending to all your DMs, like as a creator, nobody is less in your requests. Your content is always going to be prioritized, right? So those little things that actually really help. So you continue engaging, you also engage other people's stories. You have to also be part of it, right? Because again, listen and listen very carefully. Instagram, if for example you as a person that is using Instagram, you like the content, say for example today or Ednon, everybody that is following you will see that notification that you probably not even like maybe just say you're a commenter because that's what they always say all the time. All your followers will be informed that you commented on Today Edna's content post. Yes. And if they didn't see the notification did not reach them, when your followers go to the Edna's post, they will see your own comments that will come out first. It doesn't mean that you're the first person that commented on that post, but because they will prioritize you to your followers. That's what happens on Instagram. That's the difference between Instagram and TikTok. But still, it can never be. You can never know. Only if the person reposted the content. That's only when you see it as such. This platform has so many metrics, and I'm going to look at it even much more better next week. Now, the takeaway for this is that each platform has its own rhythm and culture, and TikTok thrives on speed, trends, and raw creativity, while Instagram rewards polished aesthetic and relationship building. As much as creators don't try to fight it, they adapt the story to fit the space they're telling it in, right? So you don't try to be like, okay, I don't care what Instagram says, I'm going to do my own content like this. Don't do that. You're gonna suffer it. So you just have to adapt to that particular platform. That's why you have to understand the platform. That's why we're having this whole class. That's the whole importance of this class, right? To understand that platform. And the key reminder here is that it's not about choosing one platform over the other, but about knowing how to play the game on each platform and still have the same story but a different stage, right? And now I like to see it is in a way of, if for example you want to look at Beyonce's concert, right? When she was performing in Houston, it's different from how she dressed when she was performing in Vancouver or in, say, London, right? Or Toronto, right? Doing her tour. But she basically would dress, rather from the fact that she had her own team, like her whole tour had a team, right? But she still tries to like kind of pay homage to the place that she's going to. Sometimes, not all the time. Right. Another example would be if, for example, you want to perform, let's just say you will become a very big creator. That's not even listening. We're not dreaming, it's going to happen. You become a very big creator. And when you want to perform in, say, France, you have to do, where's your beret? You have to look like a person trying to perform in France. And then we want to perform in England, you have to look like the England people performing in England. That's basically how I see it. By the way, I will also suggest you to see it as well. And it's just a different stage, but it's the same story. Because you're still going to go there and sing your same story. Because your story was written in English does not mean that all of a sudden now you are in France, you now change it all the way to French. No, it's not even going to sound alike. But you can still pay homage to the to the French people by saying one or two few things in French or playing the very French game or whatever, or even have like a French cultural thing, just so that the people that are and in France can connect to you. Do you understand? Even though they love you regardless, but they want to connect with you. And that's the whole point of understanding this platform. So you don't say, okay, I don't care what Instagram says or TikTok says, I'm gonna do my content, I'm gonna post it on both platforms because I can. Yeah, you can. You 100% can. But if you want to make the best out of it, you have to follow their rules. Yes. And that brings us to the end of this week's class, which is platforms and platform uses. And here's the sprint for today, for this week. Please endeavor to do it. And I will see you in the next class, which is going to be better than our last class. So see you till then. Bye.